right now. I've scheduled it for 8:05. And my phone is crooked. Hi YouTube, it's Janelle here. I'm hoping you guys can hear me and see me. I'm trying to get on both YouTube Live and Instagram Live. So bear with me while I get everybody set up. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Let me know if you can see me okay. And if not, we'll figure it out. Hi, I can't see who's joining. Oh, that's D. Anderson. Hey, what's going on? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can't hear me. Let me know if you're having problems. I'm trying to make sure everybody can see me and hear me and all that good stuff. Hey, Victoria, I see you, girl. All right, Matt can hear me. Huang, yes, you can hear me. Thank you guys for joining. I'm so excited to have you guys. For some reason, my tripod is being weird and I have you guys all crooked right now, but I'm trying to fix it. Bear with me. Um, I'm so excited to talk to you guys again. I haven't done a live since like February, which is crazy because literally like that was when I cut my hair short, and I remember everybody being like, "Oh my god, your hair is so short," and now my hair is like so much longer. I could show you guys like how much longer my hair has grown. So long now. But anyways, this camera's not working with me, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. Hi everybody on Instagram Live who just joined. I'm so excited to have you guys with me today as well. This is the first time that I'm doing both YouTube Live and Instagram Live, so I'm really excited about that. What's good with my shirt? Hello. Last weekend and this weekend is like graduation season, so everybody is graduating, and I'm so pumped to support the recent college graduates of my alma mater, Brown University. Shout out to class of 2018 at Brown and every other college, honestly. Like, I'm so proud of everybody who's going through 4 years of college, getting through, getting done, graduating, especially to my Brown and Latino people out there. Like, it's hard out here, especially if you come from a low income family. It's really hard to make it to and through. So shout out to everybody who's doing that. And yeah, I just wanted to like take some questions from you guys. I haven't talked to you all since, literally since my last live. I post videos every Thursday at noon, but today I didn't post a video because I knew I was gonna be live tonight. So I just wanted to make sure that, I got a chance to connect with everybody and talk to you all. If y'all had any questions, I've been posting a lot about savings and investing because that's where I get most of my questions from. So yeah, just trying to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to ask me questions if you have them, and get a chance to like get your questions answered from me. Today my setup is a little janky because for some reason my tripod won't let me straighten you guys up, so you're gonna see me like sideways, but it's all good as long as you guys get to put the questions in that you want to ask, and like get the conversation started. One of the big questions that I just got literally like yesterday about my video about savings, which I wanted to address, was pretty much about the savings account online. A lot of people were asking me like, what about overdraft with a checkings? Because with savings, they don't usually necessarily charge you overdraft because you're not really taking money in and out of a savings account. But for a checking account, that is definitely an issue. And I noticed that a lot of people have been saying that, I got charged a lot of overdraft fees and stuff like that. And it's just like, I know that can be really frustrating. So I just want to make sure that I address that. I know that it can be an issue. So what you want to do is make sure that you have a bank that's not going to charge you overdraft fee, or that at least offers you the opportunity to set up your account in a way that they don't charge you overdraft fees. That basically, like, if you go to swipe your debit card and you don't have the money there, then it's basically not going to go through. Like, they're not going to let you use the card. They're going to the purchase that you're trying to make is not going to go through. And so it can be a little bit embarrassing, if you're trying to make a purchase and it doesn't let it go through. But it's better to be embarrassed once than to be charged multiple times on your accounts. So definitely make sure that you call your checking account, where the bank where you have your checking account, and ask them like, hey, is there any way you can set up my account in such a way where you don't actually charge me an overdraft fee? If I try to make a purchase, it won't go through. And I know for a fact that Charles Schwab definitely does offer that. So if you have a Schwab account, there's a lot of perks to having a Schwab account. I definitely love using Schwab because I just recently changed my account to a Schwab account because you can use your debit card and any ATM machine and not get charged. Well, you're going to pay a fee then and there, but then Schwab is going to reimburse you back for those ATM fees, which is really, really awesome. Thank you, Alberto, for saying that you're a fan of the channel. Thank you so much for supporting. I'm so excited to get all of you on here and talk about some of these questions that you guys have. So I'm sorry, I'm getting some chats and I'm like, ooh. I cannot do everything at once. Hi Bella, I see you back, girl. Thank you so much for supporting, for joining. Yeah, I definitely think transport. I see you. I'm about to chime in. Go ahead, throw your questions at me. Who inspires you to create YouTube videos and do it about finances? Oh my God, I have so many inspirations, man. I have so many people that inspire me. For example, like Ramit Sethi is one of the big people that has recently like inspired me because of his movement. He has a whole platform called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And I really like the fact that he pushes it from a young person's perspective, because a lot of people in the personal finance world that you might think of, like Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman, a lot of these people are much older. So they're kind of telling us information that's not really relevant to our like generation. Like for millennials, the information that they share with us is not necessarily always that realistic, or necessarily doesn't necessarily match our lifestyle anymore. It was probably easy in the 80s and 90s to do things that way, because it wasn't a million apps on your phone and like all these different things technology wise that make things easier for you to do online. And so telling people, I think in my opinion, telling people to stay away from credit cards and stay away from online banking and stay away from all this stuff is just like, it's not realistic, right? So yeah, really like Ramit because he's realistic. If you guys don't know his book already, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, definitely check it out, especially if you're not necessarily interested in flipping the pages and reading through it. Get the audio book. He actually narrates it himself, and his voice is like, he's young, he's cool, he has a genuine voice. And I like his hustle. I appreciate his voice and his story. So definitely Ramit. I really like Farnoosh. If you guys don't already listen to the Soul Money podcast, that's definitely something that I listen to that I really like. She's also really cool. Oh man, who else? I think just in general, Latinas doing their thing in the industry is such a huge inspiration and motivation for me, even if it's not about money. So Gina Rodriguez is a huge source of inspiration for me. I love her, everything that she's about, everything that she says and does. At one point, maybe I'll share a video about this on my community board or on my Facebook, but at one point when she shaved the side of her head for a movie, I went and shaved the side of my head and like had a haircut for actually a while. Like it was a good couple months or even almost a year that I had like the side of my head shaved, and I had to wait for that little piece of hair to grow out and then to basically get my hair cut short again. So yeah, that was a little thing. But like I love Gina. Like everything she does inspires me and motivates me. And it's just something that I'm always looking for, like women that I can relate to, stories that are similar to mine, and that's definitely something that motivates me a lot. Elaine, I see you. Thank you for joining, girlfriend. I love seeing people that I know that like are on the live, because it's like I know I can talk to you. I know who you are. I know what situation is. If you guys have like specific questions, definitely do not be afraid to ask me them. I've been seeing a couple people. Let me swipe up and see what some of these questions have been. How do you pay off a high interest loan faster? Well, you just gotta OD on your payments. You have to send as much money as you can, because you're trying to compete with the interest that's being charged on your account. So a lot of people, what they would suggest at first is, if you know that interest rate is just out of control, is to try to consolidate it and try to get a lower interest rate. So first thing you can do is call them and see if there's any way that the person that you owe this money to will lower your interest rate. That's not necessarily as likely to happen as it would for you to just get a new person, like a new company, to take over the debt for you and then basically pay it for you, and then you pay them back. So that's one way to make sure that your interest rate that you're paying is lower, and then that way you can still send as much as you can no matter what, because that's how you're going to get out of the debt. But at the same time, if you're paying less interest is always better, because at the end of the day, in the long run, you're going to be spending a lot less to pay back the fees for what you borrowed. So definitely try to lower that interest rate, and then also try to see if there's another company that would pay off the person you owe, and then you just deal with them directly. So I did that. I talked about that in like one of my earlier videos. How did I pay off 15K? Oh my God, Ernesto, congratulations on just getting your house. That's amazing. I have not ventured into real estate yet, but that's dope. Congratulations. That's a big deal. But yeah, going back to, that's something that I posted about in my video. When I paid off my $15,000 of debt, a lot of that, and most of it honestly, was credit card debt, and I used the lending club. A lot of people have their issues with the lending club, but I didn't have any issues using the lending club as a service. They were great, they were friendly, the customer service was on point, they emailed me right away, they set up the account quickly for me, and I got the money in my checking account like in 6 days or something like that. But you have to have a steady job, you have to have a decent income, you have to have a decent credit score so you don't get charged crazy interest. And they do call your job. They don't tell them that you're borrowing money or anything like that, but they do call and say, like, we just need to verify that Janelle works here. So that's definitely something to consider. Thanks for all the great advice. I make sure to always plug my kids into your videos, the ones that listen. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I love the response that I've been getting on about my content from teachers, especially. You guys know that I used to be a teacher. So like when I hear teachers saying that they're using this in the classroom, it means so much to me and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much. Bella, I sent like $650 a month, and that was a lot. That was like pretty much what I was paying in rent, which was at that time I was paying like $700 in rent. This was back in like 2014, 2015, when rent was a lot cheaper in Brooklyn. And so it wasn't that crazy for me, but I was literally paying like the same amount that I was paying in rent, I was paying to my loans. So I was literally not spending money on anything. I wasn't getting no manicure, pedicures. I wasn't going for massages. I stopped buying makeup. I stopped getting my hair done at the salon. I was doing everything myself because I was literally cutting down every single expense. Everything I was spending money on, I was not buying food that much. I stopped going out to happy hours. I was not going to no movies. You know, like I stopped paying for subscriptions, Netflix and movies and Spotify music, all that. I cut everything. And you know, I had to get creative. Like a lot of time when I would come home, I mean, it is off the hook, but it definitely has changed. I love the fact that Brooklyn is still in a transition though. Like I grew up in Bushwick, so like a lot of the people that I grew up with are still here. My family's still here. Like a lot of my cousins, a lot of the people that I saw growing up are still here. But there's also new stuff coming in. There's new restaurants, new cafes, new bars, new art spaces, and things that like was never here before. So you know, it's in transition. It's not all different. So like that's gonna be a sad day when you walk through Bushwick and you don't even see signs of the way it used to be. I'm gonna just be like, I'm gonna be devastated. I'm gonna be crying. But we're not there yet. So thank goodness I'm still able to experience a little bit of, you know, the old Bushwick as well as the new Bushwick, because, you know, definitely Harlem as well. Has been going through gentrification like crazy. But yeah, that's definitely how I handled it. I was paying a lot of money, literally the same amount that I was sending to my rent, I was sending to the debt as well. So that's something that you gotta hustle, man. You just gotta put on, buckle up, and start sending all that money that you have that you're usually spending on other things, because you know, that's just how it is. That's the only way you're gonna get out of it. I see you, Stephanie. I love you so much. It says, I was gonna leave and watch this later, but I feel hooked. Yes, girl, come in, throw in your questions. Tell me what you want to know about. Is credit counseling a good choice? My personal opinion is that it depends on you. If you're the kind of person who does not like to read up on stuff, does not like to do research, does not like to really get hooked on a topic and like kind of put passion into it and learn and figure it out yourself, like problem solving and like, you know, figuring out a puzzle, then if you don't like that, that doesn't sound fun to you, then maybe you do need credit counseling. But at the end of the day, my personal belief is that people could do it themselves. Literally, there's so many DIY videos. Like on my channel, I've talked about what, you know, the credit factors are. I always, you know, recommend Credit Karma so you can monitor your credit and take a look at what's on your credit report for free. Like I feel like a lot of people spend a lot of money doing credit monitoring, and a lot of it is very scamish. So I definitely don't recommend it unless you know that you have no, you know, way, shape, form, or time or interest in trying to do it yourself. But try it yourself first, and reach out to people like me. There's so many other people you can reach out to and try to get help for free first before you dish out money to do it, when, you know, there's definitely ways that you can DIY it. It is not necessary to pay for it. Oh man, I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to do the YouTube questions and the Instagram questions. I'm gonna go to Instagram real quick. So I see on Instagram, I see any advice for young adults that are struggling to buy a home in this expensive market. Any tips? Take your time. What I notice is happening, from based on what I'm reading, because I'm not at the point where you know, I'm doing that, but I think that a lot of people are putting themselves in a bad position because they can't afford it, and that is really not a situation that you want to be in. So take your time. Even if it takes you 10 years, save up the money and do it right. Don't rush into a house that you're gonna have to go into foreclosure for. I see I'm new to credit. I have a credit one card with $75 annual fee and a First Premier card with a $50 annual fee. I know that they're crappy cards. Both cards are 9 months old. Should I cancel them once I get a better card? Now, this is definitely going to be up to you, because it depends on your situation. If you don't need your credit score to be good, to be a high, excellent score anytime soon, then you can close it, because it's going to hurt your score immediately, but it will eventually go away and your score will go back up. It's just that when you close an account, it's going to hurt your score for two reasons. Because one, you know, when you close an account, it lowers the amount of years that you have had credit for. So your age of credit is going to be shorter. And then two, the reason why it hurts so much is because it's essentially completely lowering the number of open and active accounts that you have. So if you had 10 accounts, now all of a sudden you have 9. So that's of course going to hurt your score, because the more accounts you have, the higher your score is. So you know, it's not a crazy important thing, but it is important to know that if you need your credit to be really good right now, if you're putting an application application for credit for a house, for a mortgage, for an auto loan, or for any type of personal loan, then it does not make sense to do that right now. Don't cancel those cards until after you apply, get the application goes through, and you get the money. Then you can close the card if you really don't want to be paying those fees. But I would try calling them, negotiating, see if they could cut the fees first before you close the card, because they're gonna do anything they can to keep a client. I've said that in all of my live videos. You are in control as a client. I see a couple more comments here. I see, somebody closed their card at the same time and their score is still 700 plus. You know what? Exactly, because if you had all your other factors are on point, then it doesn't necessarily really matter. It's gonna take a little hit right now, but it's not necessarily gonna hurt you for the long run. And then Bella said, damn, you better get rid of them. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a bad situation to be in when you have more than one card. That sucks. If you are going to close more than one card, close them at the same time. Because if you space it out, it's going to keep hurting your score over and over and over again. You don't want to keep taking hits. You just want to, boom, get it over with, like ripping off a Band-Aid real fast. All right, I'm going to take some questions from YouTube. I see... There can, but where you at? People of color and fill that void for a lot of personal finance coaches. Okay, so I'm gonna read this. So it says, I just want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, because by speaking to a lot of the hood communities and people of color, there's a void in personal finance that I definitely agree that is so true. I'm actually really interested in getting into school. So if y'all been watching my Instagram posts recently, I've been doing a lot of classroom workshops, a lot of classroom presentations. I'm getting into schools that are Title I funded. For those of y'all who are not in education, don't know what that means. That means that more than half of the students, or more than 2/3 of the students that attend the school get free or reduced lunch, which means that based on their family's income, they qualify to get free or reduced lunch. So that means these schools are mostly low income, and those are the kids that need it the most. Honestly, like that's who I was, sitting in the classroom, having no idea about personal finances, and I was the first person that went and opened a credit card at 18. And not that you shouldn't. I think people should have credit cards early, but the point is that you need to know how to use it right. You need to know how to be wise with it. My nationality, I'm Dominican. I put that in my Get to Know Me video. Come on, London, go back and watch my old stuff. I'm Dominican. My parents are Dominican immigrants, and I was born and raised in Bushwick, Brooklyn. So I'm a New Yorker, born and bred, and I'm American, but my family has Dominican ethnicity. You have a credit score of 700. How can you get to 800? I know it's going to take time. Yes, it's definitely going to take time, because the biggest reason why people don't go from 700 and 750 to 800, 850 is because the age of credit is really hard. That's worth like 10% of your score, but 10 to 15% of your score. But the thing is that it's really hard to build that up. It's hard to get to 10 years of credit, or to get over 5 to 8 years of credit, because every time you open a new credit, a new application for credit, and you put in a new inquiry and it gets approved, it's gonna lower the average again. So it's like every time you have a new account, if you need a car, it's gonna lower your age. If you open a credit card, it's gonna lower your age. And so, you're constantly doing these things that you need to do as you go through life, and it just ends up lowering your score. So it's kind of hard. It's a tough situation to really get up there. I would say you just gotta wait it out. Just be boring and dull with your credit. Just use what you have. If you have one credit card or two, just use those for a few years, and don't open anything new. Don't go opening no new accounts, because it's just gonna keep hurting your age. When you get your age to be really long, then you could start considering, new accounts and new cards that have different rewards, perks. Maybe you want to get flights or something. I don't know. But basically, don't go opening multiple accounts right now, because that's going to hurt your score. I see I already talked about that one. Over here on Instagram Live, I got a 1.7% savings account to start an emergency fund. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? That is a great idea. 1.7 is pretty comparable to like the highest that you can get right now. If you're not going to touch that money at all, like if you know that you're not going to touch it for 6 months to 8 months, it might even be worth it to look up a money market account, because a money market account is kind of like a CD in the sense that it's gonna freeze your money, but you do get access to it like maybe 2 or 3 times a month. It depends on the bank. It depends on the terms and conditions. But I know there's one, and I'm forgetting the name of the bank because it's not super well known. It's online bank only that is offering 1.85% credit interest on your savings account or your money market account right now. So just Google that. It's not necessarily super expensive or anything. I think it's free to open the account and stuff, and it's only a little bit more, but if you're gonna keep it in there for a while, it's worth it. If you don't care necessarily how long you're gonna have it there, or you don't know how long you're gonna have it there for, then definitely go ahead and make sure that you open one that you can take the money in and out. So not a money market, not a certificate of deposit, a CD. Make sure you just put in a regular savings account. Kualto says, I just found about your channel. Great stuff. We definitely need more young people to get interested in managing their money better. By the way, I'm Dominican too. Holla at all my Dominicanos out there. De lo mío, de lo mío. I'm so excited to see you guys on here. Your advice has helped me a lot. Thank you so much. You are so welcome, Junior Costa. I'm so happy to see you guys on here saying that you're excited about this content because trust me, too many young people do not care about the stuff that we're talking about on here tonight, and they need to care. Do you know anything about disputing letters to debt collectors? I have 4 content collections, and I just sent them letters, but I'm not sure. It might work. I've read a lot about this online. Like, I would say it's 50-50 right now. The amount of people that have said that it worked and they saw success with it, and then the same amount of people saying that they did everything the same and didn't get results. So it really just depends if you get lucky or not. What I would say is follow the system, follow the protocol, send your letters, dispute every 30 days, whatever. Follow the, all the rules that you read about online for disputing, with 409 letters or whatever, 609 letters. There's definitely websites that show you how to do it. But don't expect that it's definitely going to work. Just don't have any expectations. If it works great. If not, just call up your the credit bureaus directly and ask them if there's any way they can remove those collections after you pay them off. So that's definitely something that you have to do first. If you want them to remove it, you got to pay them off because they're going to keep bothering you if you haven't paid it. How much do you need to start a money market account? It depends on the bank. I would say probably like a couple $100. But definitely every bank has a different minimum. Some it's like 500, some it's like 1,000. It really just depends on the bank. There's so much information out there, so I need your opinion. Is it better to pay the balance off before or after the closing date when working on rebuilding your credit? You definitely want to pay it after the closing date, but before the due date. You want to pay before the due date because you don't want your payment to be late. If it's due on the due date, pay it on the due date. But if your payment is if you're trying to get it reported on your credit score, then in your credit report, which is what impacts your credit report, then your credit score, then you're gonna need to make sure that they report the payment that you're making and that a bill actually gets printed saying that you owe that amount of money. So that means you have to wait till after the statement closing date, because the statement closing date is when they close out that statement period and they print a bill for you saying what you owe. Love your videos, by the way. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you, Jaime. Or is that Jamie? I'm saying everything in Spanish today because the Dominicans got me hyped. Jamie, you're welcome. I appreciate you. Collections, what to do? Pay it off. Bruh, you have to pay off your collections. I get so many people telling me, like, I had an email the other day being like, oh my God, I owe like $3,000 to collections from Verizon. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, is it a mistake or do you owe that money? Like, oh yeah, no, I owe that money because it was these bills that I never paid. I'm like, so what do you mean you don't know what to do? Like, this is money that you spent and you need to pay it back. Like, the only way that collection is going to go away is if you pay it back. And now here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there that say like, oh, don't pay your collections. Don't ever pay your collections. But I'm telling you, it is always better to just deal with the situation, especially if you know it's not a mistake. If it's fraud, if it's a mistake, if you know that you did not spend that money and it's a mistake, then obviously dispute it. Call them up and say, this was not me. This must be fraud. This must be something else. But if you know that's your debt, you know you spent that money, then you just need to save up the money and pay it back, or start aggressively sending payments every time you get a paycheck. But don't, try and run away from that, because that's just not, it's not going to help your score. It's not going to help you in the long run. People are going to be, matter of fact, one time, and my coworkers, I know one of my coworkers is on here tonight, but if anybody at my job was around me last year, I think it was like around 2016, that there was a phone call to my office at my job. And now I work at schools all around Brooklyn, so I'm not necessarily ever at the office for a long time. But somebody found out online that I work, because my first and last name, Janelle Espinal, probably looked at my LinkedIn. They called my job and left a voicemail recording on the office phone being like, we're looking for Yaneli Espinal, and she, we need to contact her right away. Please have her contact us. So I'm like, all right, I don't know who these people are, but they know my name, my government name. So I called them back, and they were like, yo, you owe all this money and you're trying to run away from it, and we finally located you. I was like, what? You clearly got the wrong one. There's another Dominican girl out there, and her name is Janelle Espinal, and she owes you money, and you think I'm her. I am not her. And like, that's embarrassing that somebody will call your job hunting you down because you owe money. Like, you don't want to be in that situation just from some stupid collections. Pay it off. Find out what you got to do. Pick up an extra job, hustle, put in the work, and pay it off and clear it the right way. Because when you try to play games and be scheming around, this is the type of stuff that happens. Basically, the way that situation ended was I got on the phone with them, and they put me with their like manager or whatever, and the manager was like, the only way to clear it is if you tell me the last 4 digits of your social security number. And then I told them, and they were like, oh, wait, that's not the last 4 digits of the social that we have here. I'm like, Okay then, so it's not me. There's another girl out there who has the same name as me. She's probably Dominican just like me because this is a Dominican name, but it's not me. And so they were like, okay, we're so sorry to bother you, blah blah blah. And so they kept on searching and didn't bother me anymore. But again, like say it was me that owed that money. Like how embarrassing it is that at the place I go to work every day, they're calling them to say like, oh, I owe this money. Like that's embarrassing. So definitely just pay your collections, guys. Don't be trying to scheme around. Same here. I live within my means. You have to do it if you want to win with money. Absolutely. You definitely have to do it if you want to win with money. Living within your means is huge. And it's definitely something that I was not doing in college. To everybody who recently just graduated college and everybody who's, even just working a regular job and not making a ton of money, you have to start living within your means. And the best way to do that is to just make a list of the things, things in your life that you love. Like you love it so much and you don't want to live without it. Maybe that's like getting your nails done, or maybe that's like eating at a restaurant once a week, your favorite restaurant, or maybe it's like getting a massage once a month. Maybe it's living in a big apartment. Maybe it's, I don't know, having a backyard. Whatever it is to you that you love so much, that you're willing to sacrifice other things that don't matter as much. If you don't care about where you live and you don't need a backyard, maybe you rent a little tiny, janky little room somewhere and pay really cheap rent and use all the money that you would be paying on rent to do the other things that you love. But the point is, you can't necessarily have it all. And a lot of people want to have it all. They want to have a nice apartment. They want to have a nice car. They want to go to their favorite restaurants. They want to get mani-pedis. They want to go to the movies when the movie comes out. They want to get nice clothes when it comes out. They want to, you can't. You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. And that's the big, lesson when it comes to living within your means. It's like you got to find out what matters and only spend money in that area, in those areas and that stuff. Everything else, be super cheap or don't even buy it. And that's what I did. I became like super minimalist. I haven't really posted any videos about minimalism on my channel, you guys. I'm such a minimalist. Like, I'm in my apartment right now and I wish I could turn this around, but I'm not going to because I have a mess. But I have no furniture. I live in a tiny little studio, which my lease is ending soon, so I gotta figure that out. But I have no furniture. I have nothing on my walls. I have no, nothing. I have like 2 chairs for people in case they come, which I don't really have guests over that much. And I have my YouTube set up, my stuff for my YouTube channel. That's about it. But I don't have like a rug and paintings and lamps and little coffee tables and bookshelves. Like all that stuff is like furnishing your apartment costs so much money. Like a stupid pillow at IKEA costs like $25. Like it's ridiculous. And then you want to change it up and switch it up and redecorate. It's like, it's not worth it. Just save your money and be super simple, minimalist, only have what you need. And I definitely started doing that. Do you invest in a 401k? If so, how much? I don't invest in a 401k because I work at a nonprofit that does not offer me a company match. In my 401k or my retirement video, I talked to you guys about this and I said, only invest in your 401k at work if they offer you a match. If they don't offer you a match, if they're not gonna give you free money, then don't open the account with them. Just get a Roth IRA. If you make less than like $110,000, then you qualify. If you make more than $110,000, then you have to get a traditional IRA, which means that you are gonna end up paying taxes when you take the money out when it's time to retire. But with a Roth IRA, you pay the taxes up front. So basically it's when you get money, you put your money in, it's already been taxed. And when you take it out at retirement, every penny that's in there is yours. So that's what I recommend for sure, especially because after the first 5 years of opening the account, you can use any money that you put in, which is called the principal. I'm getting so excited, I'm whipping my hair back and forth. Any money that you put in, the principal balance that you put, you could take it out and use it if you need it for an emergency, but you have to wait 5 years. So that's even more of a reason why you need to open the account ASAP if you can. If you qualify and your income is under $110,000, there's no reason in the world why you shouldn't have a Roth IRA, even if you just put 20 bucks in it and then forget about it, and then 5 years later start putting more money in it, because at that point it will be basically it will be functioning as a savings account that invests your money in the stock market, which is amazing. So definitely the Roth IRA is what I recommend rather than the 401k, especially if you don't get a company match. If you get a company match, take it, because that's free money. I want to know how you lost the fear to lose money if you invest in the stock market. The fear to lose money only exists if you are a short-term investor. If you're investing for 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, or if you want to take the money out in less than 5 years, you should be afraid. You should be afraid because the market goes up and down so fast day to day. But over time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the market always goes up. Historically speaking, if you look at the numbers from the past, the market always goes up over decades of time. So if you're trying to invest and then take it out next summer to go to Cancun, that's not that's not the situation where you need to be investing. You need to be putting that money in a savings account or in a CD and freezing it so it can build up. but you should not be investing money that you're not willing to leave it there for 10 years or more, 15 years or more. So when I invest, I check it every now and then just to see how I'm doing because I'm curious, but I'm not touching that money. I'm not taking it. I already know that money is going to be there for when I'm 40, when I'm tired of working, when I want to take my time and do my thing. At that point, I can rely on money that's in my Roth IRA that I put in for the past 20 years or something. But I'm not going to necessarily be taking the money out of the stock market anytime soon. So that's why I don't have any fear. If you understand how the market works and you know it always goes up, then then you're gonna be chilling. You're not necessarily gonna be afraid. You're only gonna be afraid if there's a crash around the time where you need the money. So if you're about to retire and the market is doing really poorly, that's when you should be freaking out a little bit. And not even, because if you handle your accounts correctly, then you're gonna be a lot more conservative with your investments as you get closer to retirement age. So if I wanna, let's say I wanna retire when I'm 45, as soon as I turn 35, I'm like, okay, in 10 years, I'm gonna wanna retire. So that means now I'm gonna start making my account more and more conservative. Less stocks, more bonds. I'm gonna be less risky, right? And if you don't know what any of this means, check out my video about stocks versus bonds, and also check out my video about diversification, because I explain all this stuff, make it real basic. But basically, you just can't be real risky when you're about to retire, because you're gonna need that money real soon. So yeah, don't be afraid if you're investing for the long term. Definitely just know that when you need that money in 20 years, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's going to be there, and it's going to be way more than what you put in. How much, in your opinion, to spend on a Florida vacation if you have no debt but still on the financial freedom road? I would say don't spend any more than 1 month's income, because if you're spending more than that, then that's 1/12 of more than 1/12 of your income, and that's way too much money to spend on a vacation. This better be a pretty long vacation too. Like, I'm saying, this better be a long vacation, because you're taking taking your money that you're trying to save and you're cutting it into 12 pieces, and you're taking one of those pieces and you're just spending it on one trip. So this trip better be amazing. It better be worth it. And also, you have to make sure that you plan ahead, because if you wait for the last minute to do things for the trip, of course everything's going to be more expensive. But if you plan way far out in advance, then you can get accommodations and things for way cheaper. So you can have a reasonably affordable vacation if you plan it way ahead, like 8 months out, 9 months out, whatever, even a year out if you can. Yeah, I'm sorry. I love that I see you guys answering each other's questions, because I can't get to all of them. Thank you so much. I love that you guys are jumping in to help me out. How can I sit down with you and talk about my money? I'll really appreciate it. Actually, you know what? I'm just launching a special project. I'm not doing any conversations in person with people because I'm just too busy. But what I do offer is for you to talk to me and have a consultation about your money. I am launching a special project real soon, and I need more people's voices and people's stories and people's financial circumstances. So if you are interested in talking to me about your specific situation, your specific circumstance that you're in, and the details of it, we can definitely schedule some time. Just email MissBeHelpful@gmail.com, and in the subject line put special project, and then I will email you back with all the information about the special project. And if you're still interested, then we'll book an hour to have a conversation, basically like a consultation, and I'll give you advice and I'll tell you what I think based on what I've read. I'll recommend books and podcasts that you should check out, and blogs and stuff like that. So that's the best I can offer you. That question was for Jay. Hope that was helpful. Who cares where you stay at? At the end of the day, you have a place. True. And that's the thing. See, I'm like that. I'm real minimal. I don't care. I don't need a fancy place with a nice big old hot tub and like room service. I don't need all that. But there's a lot of people out there who would spend like a lot less in certain areas to be able to spend more in that area. So, and that's fine as long as you're not spending it on everything. If you don't go out to eat at all, and you like buy groceries at the local, food market and cook every day in your hotel room, like, then great, get an expensive hotel room, because you're saving money on food. But if you'd rather taste all the delicious restaurants and the most popular restaurants in the area, then pay for a cheap room so you can spend the money on food. But don't go to all the best restaurants and buy the expensive food and get the most expensive hotel room. The point is, you guys get what I'm saying. You can't have it all. You gotta pick and choose what you're gonna give, and what you gotta give to and get. You can't just get. Just don't go to Florida. Guys, that's like not realistic. People deserve a little, break sometimes. What's the best bank to save money? Online banking. Check out the video I just posted last week on Thursday. It's called the 3 best online savings accounts that I recommend. Check that video out, because I talk about the 3 accounts that have the highest interest rates right now. And so definitely check those out. Some of the ones that are not as well known, a lot of people say, like, there's an argument that like you shouldn't go with a bank that's not very well known, because the reputation is not there, and also they might change their interest rates like soon, and they might change it often, and so it's better to go with an established online bank like ING or something like that. That's definitely like, hashtag facts. Like, you never know when a bank is going to be changing the rules on you. Like, they have every right to change their interest rate. It's variable. They don't guarantee it for very long. So it doesn't, definitely one thing I want to say to you guys is don't go chasing interest rates. Like, don't open an account with one bank account because they have a really high interest rate, and then the second another bank offers a higher interest rate, you close that account and you go to this account, open that account. Like, don't do that. Just stick with one bank for a long time. Derek Emmanuel, you said how long does your credit history need to be? Whoops. Ooh, wow. I need to keep swiping. How long does your credit history need to be before you can get a card with Chase, Amex, or Barclays? A year, 6 months? Amex is one of the I was about to say cheesiest. I don't know why. One of the pickiest when it comes to credit cards. It's hard to get an Amex card. They don't just give it to anybody. You do have to have good credit. And so it is important to have at least a year worth of credit established before you go applying for some of the higher cards. But what I would say is that it doesn't necessarily matter how many years you've had credit for. They just want to look at your payment history and your total utilization right now, because those are the two buckets that make up your score, and the most part of your score. So essentially, if you know that you've had all your payments that you've been making and they've all been on time, then and you don't have any credit cards maxed out, you have a low utilization, then you can apply for those cards because your score is probably going to be pretty high. But what I would say is, when there's a card that you're looking for that you want to apply for, go online and put the name of the card in and look at blogs like Bankrate and oh my god, there's so many. Even Credit Karma does it. There's so many blogs that I can't even think of the names right now where I go, and they tell you straight up, these are the qualifications that you need to have, or this is the typical score of a person who applies that we usually accept. So that way are you close to that, or are you not close to it, and that way you'll know if it's worth it to apply right now, or if you should wait a little while, build up your score, and then apply. Oh man, I'm seeing a lot of Instagram questions. I'm gonna take another one from Instagram. Hi Janelle, when it comes down to marriage, how much are you willing to spend on your big day? You guys, I don't really talk about marriage that much because I just don't see it happening anytime soon, because I'm like, it costs so much money that I'm not really willing to spend. Like, that's crazy. Like, I feel like people spend $40,000, $50,000 on one day of their lives. Like, it's nuts to me. For those of you that know me, I'm always saying this, like, I would never spend that much on a wedding. It's one day. Like, that's crazy to me. So it depends on you. If you are a very religious person, for example, and the sanctity of marriage is very important to you, then you're obviously going to be willing to put a lot more money to that day, and to make sure that you feel like you're doing it right, so that you have a union that you respect and that you are proud of the way that you did it. But if you're not a religious person at all, and you don't necessarily have any connection to the ritual of marriage, and you feel like it's kind of like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending all this money on it? Then maybe you're the type of person who doesn't want to put a lot of money to a wedding, and maybe you just put like a super low budget on it. It just really depends, I think, on the type of person that you are. Maybe you just do it the legal route and you just have like a dinner with your family and then go sign the papers at the courthouse. I mean, it really depends on who you are, what your values are, how much you value a wedding and marriage in general, and also what your budget looks like. At the end of the day, if you don't have the money, don't go into debt for a wedding. Oh my God, please don't, because then you're gonna need a place to live, and you're gonna have kids, and all these things come next, and then you're gonna be like, man, I wish we had all that money that we wasted on that wedding so that we could support our kids, or so we could put a down payment on this house, right? This marriage is the beginning. It is not the end. So you don't wanna go into debt for that. You wanna be able to have a good marriage and a good future, together. So definitely I wouldn't do that, at least. I mean, don't listen to me. I'm not a marriage counselor, but I'm just saying, when it comes to money, don't go into debt for that. Chaneli, me tengo que ir, pero gracias por todo. Me has ayudado muchísimos. Gracias, mil gracias. You are so welcome. Oh my God. De nada. A la orden siempre. I'm here to help you guys. I love the fact that I got my Latinos out here watching me and asking me questions and giving me support in Spanish. Should I make a purchase between my due date and my statement closing date? I don't really understand that. So there's going to be cycles. So I'm going to call the first one cycle 1, and the next one is cycle 2. Cycle 1 has a closing date, statement closing date, and then a due date. So the statement closing date for cycle 1, the very next day is the opening day for cycle 2. But it's also overlaps with the grace period. It's also the first day of the grace period that you have, which is the 20 or 25 or something like that days, or 15 days, depending closing date and your due date. So if you do spend money between your statement closing date and your due date for cycle 1, basically you're spending money that's going to get printed on the bill for cycle 2. So you basically entered cycle 2. Once the closing date passes for cycle 1, you're in cycle 2. So basically, yes, you can, and you just have to know that that's not going to be printed, that's not going to be due in this next due date, because the next due date, the bill for that was already printed from your statement closing date from cycle 1. So it really just depends on, if you have the money to pay it by the next due date. And honestly, what I like to do is I like to play around with the statement closing dates and use it to my advantage. I check all my statement closing dates on my cards, and I'm like, oh, if I want to buy my mom for Christmas for the 25th, and I have a card that the statement closing date is the 22nd, then I'm gonna wait till the 23rd and buy her a present then, so that it could go to the next. It'll give me an extra 2 months basically to pay that back without interest. So if you're interested to know like more about the details, I know I said that real fast, but just check out my video that's called oh man, what is it called? It's the one where I'm wearing like an orange dress and it says how I spend money or how I get rewards points without hurting my credit score. Something like that. Basically, it's about rewards points. And it's about how I rack up on rewards points without hurting my credit. That one is the one that explains it, because it just depends on the statement cycle that you're in. You know what? I'm neglecting my YouTube, folks. Instagram Live, I took a lot of questions from you guys. I'm gonna go back to YouTube. Wedding vendors to have a surcharge on their prices for weddings. Yes, they do. I know that for a fact, because my sister got married a few years ago, and she was like, do you know that? Even my friend actually too is like, do you know that I asked the DJ how much his price was, and he was like, this is my price for services for a party. And she's like, okay, it's a wedding. Oh, actually weddings cost different. I'm like, it's still a party, it's the same thing. But they know that weddings, there's a market, right? Weddings exist in a wedding market, and weddings, people are willing to pay more for their weddings, so they can charge up, rack up the price. They can make it a little higher. Steph, I see you, baby girl. Can I get caught up on retirement at age 35 if I have nothing put aside for retirement? You can, but you're gonna have to put a lot more money, because $1 that you invest when you're 25 has 10 extra years of compound growth to build up on, compound interest, right? Rather than $1 you invest at 35. You've lost 10 years of compounding. The power of compounding. It's like you get interest, and then you get interest on top of that interest. And then you get interest on top of the interest that was on top of the other interest. So you're making money off of free money that you got for 10 years. So you could imagine how much you're gonna get when you're 35. If you start when you're 35, you've missed out on 10 years. So I would recommend, even if it's just $50 a month or even $100 a month, whatever you can, start that when you're 25. And when you're 35, you can even just stop. You could put $100 a month every month from 25 to 35, and then stop, take a break and stop contributing. And that money is gonna have the benefit and the advantage of all that time, because you started earlier. Basically, the earlier you start, the more it will compound over time, and time is more important than the amount of money that you invest. So even if you start when you're 35, the only way you're going to be able to catch up is by putting 4, 5 times, 10 times as much as you would have put if you were 25 when you started. So yeah, you can catch up, but it will cost you a heck of a lot of money. So it might not always necessarily be worth it to everybody to do that. Good information. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. That is not necessarily my original idea either. I got that from all the books that I read. So it's, it's something that I just come to understand how it works. You can get a ton of rewards from credit cards without hurting your credit score. Yep, by doing exactly what I was describing earlier. Hi. Hi to everybody, and everybody who's saying thank you. You're welcome to everybody on here right now. Thank you guys for joining me tonight, because I was like, I feel so bad. I haven't done a live since February, like all of March, all of April, and all of May, and tomorrow's June 1st. So definitely wanted to make sure I got in touch with everybody who supports my channel before the middle of the year. Would you date a guy who makes less money than you? Oh my God, yes. What? It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you save, right? And like for me, you can make 6 figures, 7 figures. You could be, a millionaire. But if you're spending $900,000 a year, you're not a millionaire, really. Like you make a lot of money, but you're constantly spending so much. So to me, I don't necessarily look for guys based on what they make. I look for them based on their habits. Like, how do you use your money when you get it? What do you do with your paycheck when you get it? You know, do you invest it? Do you put it in a savings account? Just like habits is what you should be looking for, ladies and gentlemen. Also, everybody out here who's has a partner, you want to be paying attention to your partner's habits, and not just paying attention because you don't want to be like stalking, sneaking up on them, trying to do it on the low. Talk about it, open up about it, ask them, yo, what do you do when you get your paycheck? Like, talk me through what you do. Do you have investment accounts? Do you have a saving account? Do you have a checking account? Where does your money go? Do you have 401k? Do you do that with your job or not? Talk about this stuff, because if you hear somebody saying, oh no, I don't got time for that, how am I going to worry about when I'm 70? I'm young right now. I'm trying to live my best life. I got to put all my money towards parties every weekend, taking you out dancing. It's like, whoa, then you might want to like reassess and kind of have a conversation and make sure you guys are on the same page, because you might have different values when it comes to money. You might have different opinions. So definitely do not go around judging people. I don't think it's right to go around judging people based on how much they make. Would you rent or buy your place? It depends. It depends on where you live and what the market is like. If you live in a place where renting is going to be better in the long run, then it definitely makes sense to rent. But if you live somewhere where buying is going to make more sense in 10 years, 20 years, you'll have saved a lot more by purchasing the house than renting it, then it will make a lot more sense to buy, right? If you want to find out, just go to like Google, literally type in rent or buy, like should I rent or should I buy? And there's all these calculators that will tell you, okay, type in your rent and type in how many years you're going to be renting. And then on the other side, it'll be like, type in the mortgage amount of the house, or the total amount of the house, how much you're going to put down for the mortgage, and what your interest rate is going to be or your down payment, how much you're going to put for your down payment, and what your interest is going to be for the mortgage. And then it'll calculate, do its algorithm business, and it'll spit back out to you. Based on what you put in, it makes more sense to rent, or based on all these numbers that you said, it makes more sense to buy in the situation. So you could definitely compare and contrast based on where you live. Do a little bit of research and put those numbers in there. I don't know the exact website, but you guys could just Google it. There's so many of them that do like a rent versus buy comparison. Should I open a 529, or is it too late for a high school junior? It's never too late. A year or two of investing is better than zero. But if you're gonna open a 529, you should definitely start when the child is very, very young, because the point is, just like what I said earlier, that if you start when you're 35, you missed out on 10 years of investing, of compounding. So, you wanna at least get like 5 or 10 years of compounding in the market. So I would say, at least middle school, high school, early freshman year or something, at least 4 years there. But it never hurts. It never hurts. If you want to save and you want to put it in the market instead of in a savings account, definitely go ahead and get a 529, because it is never going to be a bad thing, and it's never going to hurt your child to get money from, to get interest on their, money for college. Never, ever, ever. Oh man, there's so many conversations up here. I missed a lot of questions from the top, so I'm going to scroll back up. You guys, I'm sorry if I missed your question. You could retype it if I didn't answer you yet. Does credit increase help you by a few points? If your credit limit increases, it does help you a little bit, because whatever amount you spend on your card is going to be less out of the total, because the total went up. So now your utilization is basically going to go down, and the lower utilization is the better. So your score will go up. But if you spend more, basically if they give you more and then you go spend more, then it's not going to help you, because your utilization is going to go down again. And every time you have to make sure that you check if they're going to give you a hard inquiry, because usually they do. If they're gonna give you a raise, a higher limit, they're usually gonna want to check your score to make sure that you're not messing up with other, because all they have access to is your behavior with them. But if you have other cards and you're defaulting on them, then they're gonna want to know that. So just before you accept the credit limit increase, ask, like, are you gonna run my credit to do this? And if you're not comfortable with them running your credit, then don't do it yet, because it's gonna be a hard inquiry, and it's gonna take like 3 or 4 or 5 points off your score. Some people don't care about that. It's just a few points. But if you're real tight, if you write at 750, 740, and every little point counts, then you might not want to do it. They gave you a soft one, Bella. That's awesome. I don't know what bank that is, but that's dope, because most people will check, and they didn't even ask. They just gave it to you. Oh yeah. So what happens is, sometimes after a few years of using your card like really well and being like a long-term client, and making all your payments on time and everything like that, then sometimes they just increase it for you. They don't even ask you. They don't even ask you if you need them to increase it. Luxury apartments cost the same amount as a mortgage. I feel everybody should own their property. That is definitely an opinion that you're entitled to. A lot of people value owning their own property, and especially the fact that it is an asset, and it's something that in 10, 20, 30 years, you're going to be able to sell it. It's going to be something that's, in your portfolio, basically, of investment. of investments. Whereas when you rent, you're literally just giving this person money, this landlord money, and you're not building an investment. You're not building anything that is an asset to you. So that definitely makes sense as an opinion. But I will say, I've read a lot of people's arguments that say, you know, depending on where you are, if you rent for 20 years and then buy a house and pass it down in your family, that could be better for you depending on where you are and what your situation is. If you end up paying less money renting than you would buying, then later then you're able to save a lot more to buy a house later. Sometimes it, you know, depending on the math, it's all about the math. It's all about the numbers. That's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I do the same thing. I use a credit card to pay my bills and groceries, and then I pay my balance at the end of the week. Is that bad? I do this because I get about $30 in cash back from my card at the end of each month. It's not bad. It just, you know, it's just that you're paying it right away. So you want to give yourself a chance to have some activity on your statement, on your bill. So just make sure that when your statement closing date comes, you have something, a little bit, you know, 10% or less of your total credit limit around, not more than that, basically. It could be less than that, but it shouldn't be more than that, that you owe, so that when they actually print your bill, it shows something. You know, you basically don't want them to just be not, you know, printing 000 every time you owe money. Sometimes renting is good. Yep, yeah, the renting versus owning is a huge conversation. You guys could definitely find a billion different opinions about it online. It just depends on you. A lot of personal finance stuff really depends on you. There's certain things that is like, duh, it's obvious what you should do based on how much better it is, based on the, you know, the profits, the return, the opportunity for more. But there's other things where it's like, meh, kind of really depends. It depends on context, depends on your situation, it depends on how much money you make, where you live at, how many people you support in your family, if you're the head of the household or not, if you have dependents. Like, there's so much information that people just make assumptions. It's like, nah, you have to consider people's context of the situation and everything that they're in. And especially, like, sometimes his property taxes are really high and sometimes they're not. Look at that. Yep, Bella just said, I live in New York and the taxes are crazy. I would never ever buy a house. Yep, look at that. Maybe you need to look nearby. Maybe you need to look in Philadelphia, you know, Pennsylvania, or maybe you need to look in, like, I don't know, upstate New York or something. They have like cheaper houses than, you know, over here. Bella, you right. Bella got all her comments on point. You got some people out here who make a lot of money but still broke. They don't know how to save. Exactly. And the more money you make, the more tempted you are to treat yourself. Because it's true. If you work really hard and you get a raise at your job, you want to treat yourself. But treat yourself with half. Treat yourself with half of the raise and save the other half. Pretend that you only got half of the raise, right? Because if you spend everything that you got a raise on, it's kind of like you're never going to save more. You're always going to be living the way that you're living because you spend everything that you make is going out the door. You're never going to keep any of it. All right, I had taken a lot from my YouTube, so I'm gonna come over. Jen Harwood, wave to you too. I love you too. Actually, I started reading Lucky Bitch. I just got the audio book. You guys definitely should check out this book by Denise DT. It is amazing. I don't know, Duffield Thomas is her last name, I think. I've been reading this book. She's so cool. She like won this contest with her husband and it like changed her outview on life, and she talks about it in this book that I definitely recommend that you check. I'm like halfway through right now and I just love her like her energy and her vibe. Also the audiobook, she narrates it as well, just like the Ramit book. And it's just so cool to see her story, to learn about her experience, and to hear about like her motivation and her passion for she calls it like manifesting things that you want to come into your life. So you have to set goals, you have to chase after them and hustle. Like, it's a lot of the things that I say, but she just puts it in a different way, and I love it. Oh my god, thanks Jen for recommending that book to me because it is dope. I love it. Can't wait to get through it all. Just Evolving My Zeal on Instagram says, Yaneli, it's so great to see you. The book that you recommended on your YouTube was great. They were eye openers. Money and Women, Susie, Women and Money by Susie Orman. Great book. Definitely a great one. It taught me all the basics. Best minimalist YouTube channels that you recommend. Oh man, you guys these are hard questions because I didn't come prepared to talk about minimalism, but there's so many. I mean, obviously the Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up is a book that you guys should all get. It is amazing. I mean, it's amazing. You don't necessarily even have to buy the book. You can just go on YouTube and watch videos of people talking about all the different like summaries of the book, and also read blogs that cover it. It's this little Japanese woman who is amazing. I'm forgetting her name. What is her name? Marie Kondo. Her name is Marie Kondo. She's amazing, and she basically talks about how she's always been obsessed with like rearranging and arranging and decluttering and clearing spaces out, and you know, making sure that everything is clean and clear, and like all of that. And I feel like just now I had like in my head, I don't know why, I was like clean and clear and under control. Marketing is crazy, you guys. Media and ads are insane. That came to my head when I said that, making sure that your space is clean and clear. Anyway, But basically, she talks about minimalism and she explains her, like, she has a system that she uses, and her wait list in Japan is like almost like, I don't even remember if she said 500,000 or like 1,000,000 people that are waiting for her services. And she goes to your house and she literally walks you through. You have to touch everything that you own, and you have to decide if you're going to throw it out, if you're going to donate it, or if you're going to keep it. And if you're going to keep it, it has to have a place to live in the apartment, or in your home. It has to have a place where it always lives, and you can't have it all around the house. You can't put it here, then one day put it there, then, because that creates clutter. And she's like, clutter really messes up your mind and your, your just like a lot of things, like the way that you think, the way that you breathe easier, and you think easier, and everything in your life is so much better and more peaceful when your space is clean. And it's a big thing with money too. Like when your apartment is full of crap and you're always buying more crap, and you have this idea that you can buy more stuff, it doesn't matter, you can replace things, you can buy them, you can just, stuff is just like normal to you, then you're always okay with spending more money on things. I talked about it on one of these podcasts that I was interviewed recently on a podcast, and I talked about it, how one time I went into the store and I bought like candles and like some random stuff. And I've talked about this on my YouTube channel before too, when somebody wrote into me asking me about a shopping addiction, online shopping addiction. And I was like, I used to buy little candles and little like random trinkets and things. And it's just like ridiculous, because I didn't need any of that stuff. But the thing is, you get used to it. You get used to having stuff. And so then you just start buying it. You're like, oh, I need it, or I want it, or I work hard. And it's just like, you don't need any of that. You literally don't need any of it. But so when you become minimalist, it also really helps you with your money. And when I went minimalist, it changed my budget like crazy, because I stopped buying crap. I stopped buying, random things, picture frames, candles. I don't even know what I used to buy. I used to buy random stuff. Actually, the other day I was on Twitter and a bunch of people were saying how when you walk into Target, you always say you're gonna spend, like, you're gonna buy one thing, and then you come out with like a shopping cart, bags of 50 things. And that's so true. It's because like people just get into that habit. But if you're minimalist, you don't want stuff in your house. I don't want to put anything in here. I don't want nothing on these walls. I don't want no furniture up in here. I don't want no carpets. I don't want no tables. I don't want coffee tables. I don't want bookshelves. I don't want none of that, because that's just clutter and I don't need it. So once you like change your mind about how you think about things, you kind of depend on it less, and you don't want stuff like that. There's so many videos about minimalism. Literally just Google minimalism or go on YouTube and type in minimalist. A lot of people share their minimalist transition. They share the decluttering, going through the Marie Kondo method, and they literally show you how they did it. And so you can definitely check that out. I definitely recommend starting with looking at the Marie Kondo. It's extreme, but it's definitely like #goals, man. At least for me it is. How do you start a budget list? The way that I budget, I use Mint, and I also use an Excel spreadsheet, like my Google spreadsheet. And also just sometimes I just do a note on my phone. It's a combination of that. But basically what it is for me is just, I became more loose with my budget, because when I first posted my budgeting video, I think that was like 2 years ago, I talked about how I had like all my categories, and I still have all my categories. But what I do is I just make sure that I take care of everything that's really important. So my retirement, my Roth IRA, $1,000 a month, or a little bit more than $1,000 a month goes straight to that. And actually it's split, because my Roth IRA, I can only put a little bit under 500 in there, because at the end of the year you can only have 5,500. So I put investing in general, basically, like I put a little bit over, like I would say like $1,200 or $1,300 a month just gets invested. And so that's my Roth IRA, and then the rest is my general investing accounts. After that, I put something in my savings account, like a chunk of money in my savings account, to make sure that I always have 6 to 8 months of rent sitting in my savings account for an emergency. And then I also automatic pay on my credit card. So any of the groceries that I did for the month, or my cell phone bill, anything that I paid with my credit card, I was going to say with my Metro card, with my credit card, also just gets automatically paid on my credit card. That comes out of my checking account to make sure that it pays the credit card bill, so I'm never late. And like that, all that stuff just happens first. And I make sure that I put aside the money for my rent. I make sure that I put aside the money for any things that I need to get, groceries, toiletries, anything that I need. And then anything that's left is basically what stays in my checking account. In my checkings account, and that's essentially like my spending money. And most of the time I don't spend that money. I spend some of it, but I don't spend a lot of it. Actually, most of the time at the end of the month, what I do is I just move anything that I didn't spend, just gets popped into my savings account, and then or invested, honestly, because I don't want to go over a certain amount of my savings account, because I want to maximize how much interest I'm getting. So I'll just put it in a general savings account. And then then I'll keep, you know, the rest in my checking account from my next paycheck for the next month. So it's kind of like I'm constantly going and looking at different pieces of data. But I love Mint. I recommend using Mint. Mint is very easy to budget with. If you're OCD and you like to keep track of every penny, definitely YNAB is really good. You need a budget, YNAB. And the host of the YNAB podcast is also really great. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but he's really great. Maybe it's Jamie something. But yeah, his podcast is really good, and he gives you little tidbits of information about how to maximize using the YNAB method and all that stuff. So definitely check that out. Took me years to get an Amex as a recent immigrant. Oh yes. Oh my God. This everything that I've been talking about on my channel is like so different for you if you're an immigrant. If you have recently come, if you newly immigrated to this country, everything is gonna be harder for you. So Jen, thank you so much for bringing up that point, because when you're new to the country, the application process is going to be different. It's going to be a little bit harder for you. They're going to ask you to prove your, address, your residency. You're going to have to go through so much. And a lot of times, just because you have only been in the country for a little bit of time, that alone is enough for them to sometimes to turn you away. Especially like Amex, they're a little bit more picky, like I said before. So I think it's really important to do your research and find out, have like reasonable expectations. Like, in general, how soon does a recently immigrated person get approved for a credit card with this company, right? Like, start Googling it, start looking at chats and forums, and finding out just finding out like ways that you can know what to expect. Because what happens is people come in expecting that as soon as I get there, I'm going to open a bank account, I'm going to get a credit card, I'm going to do all these things, and it's just like, it's not necessarily right. It's not necessarily right to have those expectations, because it's not going to happen, and then you're going to be real upset. So just kind of manage your expectations. Make sure you do your research first. If you don't know how to manage your money, you won't. It won't matter how much you make. It sure won't. Do you see a positive future for the cryptocurrency market, and are you heavily invested or testing the waters? Definitely not heavily invested. In my cryptocurrency video, I said that I only put in 1% of my net worth. So at that time, oh my God, I don't even remember what the price of cryptocurrency was at that time, but basically it was not even like $10,000 or $11,000 yet. It was really low, or lower than it was when it was almost 20,000. But I put in a little bit of money. I put in 1% of my net worth, and I said this because nobody knows. Even in the experts admit that they don't know where it's gonna go, if it's gonna blow up, or if it's not necessarily gonna be as successful as we thought. The technology, or like the framework behind cryptocurrency, which is the blockchain technology, that is what is 100% going to be used no matter what in the future, because that's what makes cryptocurrency possible. And the blockchain technology is literally a way for you to verify transactions without necessarily having to know who the person that you're transacting with is. That is totally new. Before this, like, nobody would want to do a transaction with a stranger unless there was a middleman, or unless there was a way for you to verify that this person was legitimately gonna pay you, or legitimately gonna process your purchase, or whatever. So definitely not gonna be putting a whole bunch of money in cryptocurrency, and I don't recommend that you do either if you're not rich, if you don't have like money to blow, and you out here just gambling your money away, and you still have money in your 401k, and you still have money in your Roth IRA, you still have money saved, and this is extra money. Then great. If that's what you're doing and crypto is your hobby, whatever. But you took care of your retirement, your savings, you take care of your bills, you have the money for your rent, and this is just extra, right? Most people don't have that stuff covered. Most average Americans do not have money for their retirement, do not have money in a savings account, they don't have an emergency fund, they haven't been investing. So at the end of the day, it really just depends on what your situation is. If you got all those things covered and you got extra money, do whatever you want with your money. I can't judge you. I cannot judge you as long as you have your 100% necessary bases covered. It's a little bit over an hour, so I'm just going to take a couple more questions and then I'm going to wrap it up. But I just want to stop and say thank you so much to everybody who joined me tonight, who's been supporting my channel in general. If you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, if you follow me, I just opened the Twitter account. So if you follow me on Twitter, I literally got like 20 followers. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But I just started Twitter, so go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Everything is at MissBeHelpful, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. Check out my website, MissBeHelpful.com. Type in your email there so that when I launch new projects, you can find out about them first. And reach out to me if you're interested in the special project. Just email MissBeHelpful@gmail.com and say in the subject line, special project. And then I'll reach out to you to set up a consultation, because that is something that I am very interested in. You speak very fast. Can you rap? Can I rap? we're not gonna talk about rapping right now. I do talk really fast. I talk really fast because you know what? It's a combination of Dominican culture because in Dominican Republic, a lot of people talk really fast. That's just like a thing, like about the culture. You know, we dance fast, we talk fast, we move fast. Everything is very fast, and so yeah, fast-paced environment is also something that made me talk fast. Growing up in Brooklyn, like, you know, everything is boop boop beep, like cars outside, everybody's talking honk honk, the train passing, you know, mom's cooking, pots and pans clinking in the kitchen, the kids are running around and playing. There's so much busyness like in the ambiance. So like that also is like the busyness and the constant go go go. I think I just like fed off of that as a kid, and I read fast. Like when I'm reading, I read super fast. And also when I listen to audiobooks, you guys, people in my job always laugh at me, but I put my audiobooks on 2 times the speed. I cannot listen to audiobooks or podcasts on 1x because they talk too slow. Like I literally will be listening and I'll be like, oh my God, I need them to talk faster. And sometimes in real life, I'll be sitting down in a presentation and somebody will be talking and I'll be like, I wish I could hit 2x. In real life, I wish there was like a 2x button that I could just press it and the person would just be faster for me because my brain is like I process things faster, and also I'm just bored. Like I need you to talk faster, but I understand that that's just my preference, and there's people out there that have preferences for slower speech. And when I was teaching in the classroom, my principals always give me that feedback. They will come and observe me and be like, yo, you need to slow down. There are some kids that are struggling because they don't even know what you said. They're like, whoa, like what did she just say, right? And I was like, dang, like you're right, I gotta slow down when I'm giving them directions so that when they go back to their desks to do something, they know what I said. So definitely something that I'm working on, but I do talk fast. That's something I cannot deny. Pointers, just subscribed a couple of days ago. Not sure if you're mainly about credit score and finance or also about how to maximize reward points and frequent flyer miles. I'm not a super duper frequent flyer miles points person. If you're interested in knowing about that, definitely check out the points guy. The points guy is dope. He's a lot more thorough and detailed about rewards miles than me. I like rewards miles and I have a rewards card and I talk about that, but I'm in general credit, personal finance, saving, maximizing your money, all that kind of stuff. When I first moved to America, I thought everybody spoke too slow. No one understood me. It's so true. I bet you she's probably from a Caribbean island because we talk fast. I can't stand slow people, turtles. Hey, that's so mean, Bella. Like, I don't mind. I really don't mind when somebody's talking slow unless they're talking, like, unless they're presenting information. Like, if you're just talking to me like, oh, today I took a walk in the park and it was really nice. I saw some birds. You know, I'll be like, okay, like I'll be listening. I don't have a problem with it. But if you're trying to teach me something, I'm gonna be bored and I'm gonna check out if you're talking too slow. So for me, it's a difference of like regular conversation every day, or if somebody's trying to talk to me, teach me something, and tell me something and engage me, like I need to be checked in. TJ's like, hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're cracking up over there, but this is true. This is just how I am, you guys. This is just literally how I am. Okay, so Pointer saying let's do a collab. Holler at me. I'm definitely interested in doing more collabs with people. I have not been doing collabs on my channel just yet because I literally, you guys, I do not have the time. But hopefully this summer, things are gonna slow down. I'm gonna have a lot more time and I'll be able to think about doing more collabs with cool people on YouTube and network and stuff like that. Definitely interested in checking that out. Any advice on how to refinance or lower my car payment? Yo, there's so many companies that refinance auto loans and that refinance all kinds of loans for real. Like, check out, I'm not sure exactly if it's specific for auto loans, but check out a lot of different companies that will allow you to get a low interest rate loan and you can use it to pay off the auto loan if they're charging you something crazy. If they're charging you, you know, I don't know what's high for an auto loan because I've never taken out an auto loan, but I imagine something like 5 to 8% is like super on the high end, and like 3% is probably on 3 to 4% is probably on the low end. So if you're on the higher end and you want to drop down and you have a good credit score, you probably should think about you know, checking out one of these companies that do that. Bella says she called her auto loan company and then talked to them and they lowered it for her. So definitely try that out. I don't have a car, you guys. Metro car, swipe. That's how I get around. My train and my bus. I'm from Brooklyn and you sound normal to me. Sean, thank you for that. I feel normal. I don't feel like I'm not normal, you guys. And I don't like the word normal, but thank you that I sound normal. Good, because I think I am normal. All right, how soon after filing bankruptcy, chapter 13, can you try and raise your credit by way of getting new cards? I really would not apply for anything new for like 5 years minimum, because what's gonna happen is that chapter 13 bankruptcy is gonna stay on your credit report and your credit history for like 10 years. So it's 7 years minimum, but 10 years is usually what I've read. And so once you file bankruptcy, it's going to be there for 10 years. And so it's only really only makes sense to at least get through half of that before you start trying to get new credit, right? And it's like, honestly, try to get through most of it. If you really need to try to get credit, it's going to be really hard for you. So I would really lean on people that can support you, your family, try to figure it out, and do what you got to do. Research a little bit more about ways to get approved for new credit, because I don't necessarily know ways to do it, but I know that it's going to be difficult, especially in that 10-year time period, because it's going to be on your report all those years. So there's not a lot of ways to have it off right after 7 years. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like 7 years minimum, 10 years max. Like, that's usually what I've read. And so honestly, that's what's gonna happen. 5 to 8% is crazy high. Nah, if you have bad credit and you want to get a car, your auto loan is gonna be like 5, 6, 7, 8%. It really depends on how bad your credit score is. If you have terrible credit, that is, trust me, I have seen that. I have definitely seen that. I'm confused. I was just on Instagram and it stopped. I'm sorry. I think my Instagram live just cut me off because they cap you at like an hour. Unlike YouTube, YouTube lets me go on a little bit longer. But Instagram, yeah, Instagram kind of is a little bit more strict. Let's see. Okay, so it's asking me if I want to share the video on Instagram, so I'm gonna hit share, and then I'll go on live one more time so I can wrap it up with you guys. The video couldn't be shared. Oh, it couldn't be shared. That's so sad. All right, well, I'm gonna X that out. And let me see if I can get back on real quick just to wrap it up with you guys. Okay, so yeah, basically I just wanted to let you all know that I'm really, really thankful that I'm doing my special project. If anybody's interested in that, to holler at me via email at MissBeHelpful and talk about the special project in the subject line, and I'll reach back out to you with more details, because that's something that I want more people. I want more voices. I want diversity. I want different stories. I want people that are doing it right, people that don't know how to do it, people that did it all wrong and need help, or trying to figure it out as they go. Like, I want all of that. Very informative as always. Thank you, DJ Stereo. Any tips on collections and debt? I talked about collections. My view is that you should pay it off and not be trying to be slick and be trying to play around with that. Just got the notification. Thanks for all the informative tips and help. You are very welcome. You're a credit card expert now with your friends. Yes, that's what's up. That's exactly how it should be. And they take tips from me in real life all the time because of your tips and insightful videos. That's awesome. And I'm not even gonna be mad if you take credit for it. That's fine. Go ahead and do it. People need other people in their life that are gonna uplift them and help them and support them and coach them and guide them. And if we don't have that, we're not gonna have it. And that's really terrible. Like, I went through my life not really knowing the mistakes that I was making were terrible. I didn't know. I thought I was doing a good thing when I co-signed a loan. I thought I was doing the right thing when I was using my credit cards to buy things for my family, because you don't think that you don't necessarily know unless someone explicitly teaches you that it's negative. You don't necessarily know. Jay says, thank you so much. I'll definitely be emailing you. Definitely go ahead. Email me. I've already gotten like 10 people and I'm so excited about that. I'm going to keep on taking more. So hit me up about that. All right, I think that's pretty much it. It's wrapping up. I just wanted to say thank you, huge thank you. My Instagram just hit 2.4 thousand. Oh, not 2.4 thousand, 2,400 subscribers or followers, which is dope, because I literally just started the Instagram for MissBeHelpful recently and I didn't have that many followers. And I just opened the Twitter, which has like 20 people following me. Y'all, come on, help me out. Come follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. My YouTube just hit 22K. So thank you so much for subscribing, for following me, for supporting, for liking, for commenting, for joining my live, and just in general for like coming on and telling me your stories and asking me your questions and putting your voices out here. I think people need to be talking about money more as much as possible. I'm trying to get in these streets, get in these schools and talk to this youth. I'm trying to get these young people right when it comes to money, and all the support and encouragement and motivation that I get from you guys makes a huge difference. So even if it was just liking a photo or just putting a smiley face in the comments, it means a lot and I really appreciate it. So thank you all so much. Instagram live, this was so fun. I'm not used to you yet, but we're gonna do it again, I promise. And YouTube live, as always, if you have any specific questions that you want to reach out to me about, hit me up at missbehelpful@gmail.com. Till next time, peace.